On today's episode of The Crowded Market, we talk to George Terry, a LinkedIn expert, all about how businesses can optimize their ads on LinkedIn to drive revenue.
There is a setting in the back end of Campaign Manager. It's toggled on by default, and like that little checkbox is responsible for wasting so much ad budget.
We talked about the one thing that businesses can do to drive more eyes and ears to their LinkedIn profiles.
Model your audience on your actual total addressable market and not what ad best practice tells you. So sometimes these people have spent like 100, 200 grand on ads, and we can show 80 to 90% of it was just wasted.
And we talk about the best types of performing posts on LinkedIn and where businesses should put their energy in order to increase traffic to their LinkedIn. Enjoy the episode. George, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to The Crowded Market.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on today.
Yeah, no worries.
Can you give me a little brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. I am George, co-founder and creative director of Winbox. We're a LinkedIn marketing agency, currently working with about just over 50 clients, mostly UK, mostly B2B, mostly tech, but a few outliers. And yeah, we're based here in Bristol.
Perfect. Well, I mean, this is a B2B podcast about B2B marketing.
Nice.
So I feel like you're a very relevant, one of our first guests to have on to talk about the world. And I think LinkedIn is obviously, I mean, the growth of it over the last few years has been astronomical in terms of how we're seeing it and how we're seeing kind of B2C marketing come over to B2B marketing in formats and short form content and building brands and how people can now bring other people into their businesses just by using it, right? So I've got a big question to start with. I think a lot of companies spend money on LinkedIn ads and they don't see results. What is one thing that they could change today?
Yeah, this is a really easy one. There is a setting in the back end of Campaign Manager called LinkedIn Audience Network. It's toggled on by default. Most people don't know it exists. And like that little checkbox is responsible for wasting so much ad budget. Like we audit a lot of clients' accounts. They come to us and they're like, can you tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong? And we offer this service for free. Invariably, without fail, that thing is on. Sometimes these people have spent like 100, 200 grand on ads, and we can show 80 to 90% of it was just wasted, just torched because of the LinkedIn Audience Network. Because what that means, right? When people run a LinkedIn ad, they assume quite rightly that it's going to be displayed in the feed, right? Because that's what people think they're buying.
Yeah.
The LinkedIn Audience Network is a network of like three third-party websites, publishers, apps, Sudoku apps, stuff like that. Really low quality ad inventory, just like really bad, like those dumb websites, biznews.com, stuff like that. So you think you're showing your ad to like a really narrowly defined audience of decision makers on LinkedIn, and it's appearing in a Sudoku app.
Why would they have that as an option?
Because it makes them money.
Yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an earner. It's low quality ad inventory, which for them means it's quite cheap. There's a secondary benefit for them, I think, which is that despite being really low quality like ad inventory, for whatever reason, it has quite a high click-through rate. So when you switch off, we call it LAN, LinkedIn Audience Network, abbreviated to LAN. When you switch that off, you often see your click-through rate fall, because you're getting like a lot of bot clicks in these apps and these third-party websites. So there's another advantage there, which is like people feel like they're getting massive reach at quite a high click-through rate, but it's not converting to any meaningful results. And the reason for that is you're not buying what you think you're buying.
Yeah.
So yeah, the one thing to check, like everyone who's listening to this, if you're spending money on LinkedIn ads, log into Campaign Manager, find that checkbox and uncheck it.
God, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people also do not.
Of course, yeah.
And it creates it's something called false economy, isn't it? It's where you see the stats and the figures.
Yeah.
So there's almost a little bit of an ego boost there. I think as a marketeer, you'd get that. And you'd be like, oh my God, this advert that I'm running is
I've got a 0.9 click-through rate.
Yeah.
Check me out.
Yeah, but it's absolutely nothing.
It's nonsense.
It's just a lot of bots. Apps.
Yeah, and like there is a thing that happens. So as I said, we do these audits. We have surfaced this issue, right? And you always do it in a delicate way. And we've let them know, look, you don't realize you've done this, but there's been a bit of a mistake in the back end and a lot of your ad budget's been wasted. And sometimes clients are like, okay, clearly I'm out of my depth and I need help. And then, we're there to help with that. Some people, they bury it. So we've had like prospects just decide not to share the news with the rest of their team internally because it would look really bad on them. Because they've made that decision.
Sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy.
If you like the way this podcast looks, then we can do this for you. LRB are a B2B podcast production agency that drive leads and sales for your business using the podcasting strategy. Link in the description. Speaking of audiences, I think there's always a big looming question around how people should define their audiences. Especially in B2B, where normally your audience is going to be fairly niche. You're selling to another business. There's a specific kind of person that you want to target within the business, let's say.
Yeah.
How should a B2B marketer, I suppose, define their audience without making it too broad or too narrow? Or should you cover both, have a broad and narrow?
Yeah. It's a great question. And it really is, as is often the case, it's fairly case by case. It depends how narrow your offering is. One thing that we say to clients is there's this piece of advice, which is like your LinkedIn ads audience should be like above a certain size in order to work. That's not necessarily good advice because your audience, your target market is your target market. And what makes sense within LinkedIn Campaign Manager, that's not the real world. Like the real world is your buyers are out there and there's only a certain number of them. Yeah. So first thing is like, model your audience on your actual total addressable market and not what ad best practice tells you. Personally, we get very good results from targeted campaigns. So a really key thing with like marketing in general is just relevance. If you want to get someone's attention and you want to appeal to them, you need to let them know we are for you. Specifically for you. And the best way to do that is to run quite targeted campaigns. So we see like improved results in terms of click-through rates and conversions on those sector-specific campaigns. But there's also a need occasionally to go broad. Do you know what I mean? And to do those brand-level campaigns that just get everyone's attention and make everyone turn their heads. So it's very case by case. It depends really what problem you're trying to solve. Yeah. Like if you're trying to solve like a relatively short-term kind of activation problem, as in like we need to drive pipeline this or next quarter, pick your strongest sector and go after it and be like unambiguously targeted, like really targeted in the messaging, in the creative, in the way you build the audience. Actually, if it's about like next year's growth, be more broad. Yeah. Take things to a higher level.
Appeal to all kinds of, I guess, higher level people. And it's interesting, isn't it? I suppose.
There's never like a one size fits all solution, sadly.
And it's what's the content, And like, it's almost businesses sometimes have to temporarily niche down into an industry. In order to get the results. I know, I've done it and our business has done it. We've kind of gone into specific and targeted specific businesses based on their industry because we've had, let's say success stories in that industry as well. So you want to share those success stories with a similar business in that industry.
Absolutely. I mean, we've done the same. Yeah. Winbox has always been fairly niche and fairly narrowly targeted. It makes so much sense from my perspective. We often have this conversation with clients where they'll be like, look, we got like really good footprint in this sector and we want to use LinkedIn ads, whatever marketing are doing for us right now, LinkedIn ads, to break open this sector. And like, there's nothing wrong with that ambition, but actually you're probably going to get a better return on ad spend by just like driving deeper into that market where you've already got traction because you've got the case studies and you can get referrals and people already know you in that space and they know that you're credible. So that's definitely something that we often advise clients is like, while there is this kind of shiny thing over there, let's start where you're strongest,
Yeah.
and really own that. And then we can take those learnings and apply them to other sectors.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Which leads me into, I suppose, in terms of targeting,
Yeah.
there's a couple of ways that people can do it. You can cold audience target, right? Which is people who I suppose have never heard of you or very little to at least, and you're not connected with or in any way, shape or form. Or there's retargeting.
Yeah.
Is there a better one?
No, but it depends how you're using them and the way you think about it.
Right.
So retargeting is like a massive part of LinkedIn's ad platform and all ad platforms really. And yeah, as you described it, you have your cold audience and they're people that probably aren't that brand aware and realistically are unlikely to buy from you because that's not how people buy. Like they tend to buy from companies they've heard of and that they know, like, and trust. Then you've got your retargeting audience, which is like more brand aware. And if you're building your retargeting audiences the right way, we'll be demonstrating behaviors that suggest intent. They don't necessarily correlate exactly with it because like it's really hard to identify an in-market buyer and be like, yeah, that person's, they've got their wallet in their hand. Do you know what I mean? And they're looking to buy something right now. Every online metric is a proxy. You know, the real buying decision's happening in their brain and, you know, you can't read that.
No, not at all.
Through an app.
Not yet.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Hello, Neuralink or whatever's going to come around the corner next.
But it is about like sensibly defining the market you want to go after. So that's your cold audience. And then like chaining or creating ways of targeting people that are doing certain things. You know, are they watching more than 50% of your videos?
Yeah.
Are they regularly clicking on ads? Have they visited your pricing page? Did they open the contact us page on your website but not convert? Things like that. So you're building them in quite sophisticated ways. An unsophisticated way to do it would be like they've visited our website in the last 60 days. Because like they could have visited your website for so many different reasons that say very little about where they are in a buying cycle. So yeah. I mean, cold and retargeting has been around for a very long time, but it's still basically the best way to do it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that it's such a vast, with me and LinkedIn, I struggle to believe and understand, because I mean, you guys don't, you don't just know ads, you know LinkedIn.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
There's a few things that people look at in terms of when's good to actually share, when's good to run ads. And I guess it's very dependent on your audience and when they're active, right? Do you find people are active outside of working hours? Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because sometimes, I mean, personally, like when I'm on LinkedIn, right, definitely on a weekend, it is like the weekend on LinkedIn as well, a lot of the time. But I've seen some people talk about how they still get quite good results and reach on a weekend, right?
Yeah. We
get
get conversions on the weekend. You know, we obviously for our own website and all our clients, we track last touch conversions from the channel, like forensically, you know, as much as possible. And yeah, we see conversions in the evenings, conversions at the weekend, like 1 a.m. I don't know what that says about those people.
Yeah.
But you know, filling out forms in the middle of the night is quite odd.
Go to bed.
Yeah, go to sleep, man. Put away your phone. But yeah, I mean, people do use LinkedIn on the weekend. In terms of organic content, I would probably still say publishing during the week makes sense.
Yeah.
That said, there's a new algorithm update. Everyone's complaining about it, which is LinkedIn distributes your content for much longer than it used to.
Okay.
So you'll now see like in the feed posts from 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was going to mention.
Yeah. So everyone's annoyed about this. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
The reason they're doing it is because they want to shift away from recency being a kind of a key factor towards relevancy and ultimately the quality of the content. So like Twitter, it was very important to be posting like every few hours, right? Because it was all about recency.
Yeah.
As the newsfeed became more algorithmic, it became less about recency. And LinkedIn's trying to do the same thing, because ultimately, if you know that a piece of content that you've created is going to get distributed for the next 3 weeks organically, you're going to put more thought into it.
100%.
Than if it's just, I just need to publish something this morning to keep up with my publishing cadence. It's just going to be throwaway nonsense.
This is going down the TikTok thing again as well, though. Like the reason that they they were a success was not because they created short form content. It's because they got rid of the whole following thing, right?
Yeah.
It just shows things that it thinks you like.
Yes. And it's very good at working out what you like.
Very good, right? Like terrifyingly so.
Yeah.
And that's almost a little bit kind of bleeds into what LinkedIn are doing here.
Yeah.
Like instead of just giving you what's most recent.
Yes.
This is from 4 weeks ago, but it's kind of relevant to what you're interacting with now a little bit.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if you've noticed this, I certainly have. My LinkedIn feed 5 years ago, and I've been active on LinkedIn for quite a while. And I can remember what that was like back then, kind of publishing. It was mostly people that I worked with or worked for or met through work. And it was lots of people saying, like, I've got a new job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or like, I just went to this awards evening. So it was all kind of, it was a fairly small circle.
Very.
And now it's much more, I don't know anyone in my feed. It's just loads of thought leaders and stuff like that. So they've changed the algorithm massively to do what you said, which is to focus on the kind of stuff that you're probably trying to learn more about or want to discuss rather than the people that you worked with 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Which makes so much sense. Because really, I don't care that much about like people I worked with a decade ago.
No, you don't care about their professional.
Not enough to log in every day
No.
and read.
No.
You know.
But then it scares me that it's going down the path of virality chasing, right? Which you don't want. Like you're seeing a lot more viral LinkedIn posts these days, you know?
Yeah, and they're always the worst.
They're always the worst. Like I think there's a Reddit called LinkedIn Lunatics.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if you've ever seen it, which just is about exposing these people.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly entertaining. And I hope to end up on there myself one day.
I do worry sometimes when you're posting something, you're like, is this going to be the one that ends up?
I think I would have made it by then.
Yeah.
In terms of content then, are you seeing where there's performance on a better type of content? 1 minute it's text-based posts, then it's text and image, then it's video, then it's both. What are you seeing trends of?
The most mysterious one for me, you know, ironically, given what we're doing right now, is video. Because LinkedIn, we have a good relationship with LinkedIn, and we like go down to their offices all the time, and they show us the product roadmap, and they talk to us about like what they're trying to do. They are pushing video so hard.
Yeah.
That, you know, they're saying to us, you need to essentially pivot your agency to be like just like video ads, and the more video stuff your clients do, the better it's going to be for them and for you. And yet, we kind of create videos, and they do all right, but like you'd think if they were really pushing that format, it would get massive organic reach.
Yeah,
and it's just not there at the moment. Plus, I think we talked about this before. It tends to compress video quite hard. That said, I still think it's so worth doing.
As video creators, you make this incredible crisp piece of content, and you see it get uploaded on LinkedIn. It's 14 pixels, right? And it's just, oh God, why did we do it?
But there's this kind of sometimes you have to like not look at the numbers, and you have to think about the actual human experience of someone in the feed. They see your face, they hear your voice.
Yeah.
They feel on some level like they've met you.
Yeah.
And a text post doesn't do that.
No.
It will never do that. It will never come close to memorability.
No.
And putting like a human to the face and the name, you know, the little profile icon. In terms of trends, they're always going up, they're always going down. LinkedIn's always changing stuff. It largely changes by person as well, what they like. So we just recommend a mix.
Yeah.
And, you know, do video, do carousel, do text posts. Text posts still absolutely fly if you get it right. So it's not about like going all in on one thing. I think it's just about keeping things fresh and just seeing that it's a numbers game.
Yeah, seeing where you're getting interaction, right? Like
that's it. Yeah,
throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, and like using that analogy. I use that analogy with clients far too much. Like, there isn't a formula. You're gonna have to find that out by doing it, by making it, by posting it.
There's a thing in like my background is copywriting, and there's this kind of rule in copywriting is you can't always control the quality, but you can always control the quantity. Yeah, you can't always know how things are going to perform, and like really, you know, one of the kind of interesting things about creating content for years and years and years, I think it kind of humbles you into being like, you never know what's going to work.
No, 100%.
So, you know, we've taken ads live that we were sure were just going to absolutely slay it.
Yeah.
And, you know, they didn't. You know, not every ad works the way you expect it to. And yet you do some where you're like, well, I'm not entirely sure, but, you know, a couple of guys on the team like it, so let's run it and see. And it just does so well.
It does so well.
So you just got to test.
Always the case. Just keep doing it. So if a business is going to start, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to dive into some LinkedIn ads.
Yes.
What's a sensible there might not be an answer to this, but what's a sensible budget? Would you say? Like,
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's known for being expensive, right? LinkedIn
It
is
is
the
expensive.
of its, its counterparts like Meta and whatnot. So
Yeah.
what is what have you found as a good budget?
Yeah. This is a good question. The first place to start is actually like your product and how expensive is it? As you've said, LinkedIn is an expensive channel, which means that if your product is relatively inexpensive, you're going to struggle to get a return on ad spend. So the rule of thumb, if it's under 15 grand a year, typical customer spend, it's probably not the right channel. Once you go over that, what we say is, as I've just said, nobody knows for sure how things are going to work. And the best way to approach everything to do with marketing is just always start with a test rather than start with like an ironclad strategy. You form a hypothesis, you test against it, and you see what happens. So we'd say roughly media spend of $3,000 a month for 6 months.
Yeah, cool.
And that's like a viability of the channel. There are things bound up in that which are really important. $3,000 a month for 6 months, if the people running it know what they're doing.
Yes.
Right? Because if you hand it to like your junior marketing manager and they're making, bad ads on Canva and they've switched on LAN.
And they're putting it on Sudoku apps.
Yeah, exactly. And they're doing all those things. And that's not a test of the channel. It's not a fair test.
No.
Really what you're paying for is the learning process.
Yes.
Not reaching your audience with the messages that are going to like get them to do something. So that's how we'd always put it. I think it's kind of bad that these platforms have tried to design their campaign managers, their platforms in a way that kind of appears like it's self-serve.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to spend money. It's really easy to spend a lot of money and not really know what you're getting for it. Whereas if you work with a specialist, obviously I'm biased, but if you work with a specialist, from day one, they're going to be doing everything right and they're going to know how to measure and evaluate performance. And if neither of those things are in place, you may as well just spend the money on a holiday.
Just give up.
You know what I mean?
Just give up.
Because the likelihood of success
Go
is so
home.
slim.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because like advertising is competitive. You're competing with people. It's like trying to get on a football pitch with a bunch of people that play every weekend.
Yes.
And you've never played in your life. You're going to get smoked.
Oh, 100%. And I've always been an advocate of stay in your lane. Like when I remember when we met, at DMWF, right?
Yes.
At an expo. And I was like, I've never met an agency who's LinkedIn specific, actually. Especially at one of these things. And, you get ad agencies and their ads. We just do ads, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to work with a specialist. If I was thinking about running LinkedIn ads, I'd want to work with a specialist.
Absolutely. Well, like I mentioned those audits we do, invariably those are either like in-house teams trying it for the first time, and like you can't blame them for messing up some of the settings because it's not their job, it's not something they've trained to do. But often they're agencies and they're generalists, like big full service agencies who have said, yeah, sure, we'll run those ads.
Yeah.
And then
Bang.
Not done it right, and that's cost their client a lot of money.
Yeah. Right. So outside of paid advertising, what can people do organically? What are some avenues? I think a lot of people, struggle to. Sometimes I do. I think, what the hell am I going to talk about on LinkedIn today?
Same.
My other half. A lot of people, they just don't really know. What are some quick, easy suggestions that you would share that kind of works?
Yes. So a good starting point, I think, if we're doing this from the perspective of a company or an individual, like if we're doing it in either case, your individuals are going to perform better on LinkedIn. So people often think we should do LinkedIn, like let's create like a company page and start publishing content. Honestly, nobody wants to interact with brands if they can help, especially not brands on LinkedIn.
Unless you're
so
Aldi on Twitter or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're like really funny.
Yeah.
And like all the B2C brands on like social media that can do it. But on LinkedIn, it's just very cringe and no one in their right mind really wants to like interact with content from a brand. So step one is like find people internally who are willing to step up and be the face of the company on the channel. That's like the easiest way to massively improve the traction you're going to get. Ideally they're the founder or the CEO because it's just it makes more sense to people.
Yeah.
If it's like a sales director and they're posting on LinkedIn, you just know they're trying to sell stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like the founder or the CEO, you believe a little bit more that they're on a mission and they're so passionate about the mission, they've just got to tell people about it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how you want it to feel. In terms of posting, I always just say start with text posts, don't over-engineer it. Just get used to publishing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just like that's the most interesting content is someone who's doing cool stuff, documenting what they're doing and telling you about it. Once you're past that, I think it is worth asking like, what's my story? What's the company's story? I got a really good piece of advice from someone years ago and he was like much further along in this kind of journey of trying to develop, a bit of a reputation as a thought leader. And I said, how have you done it? And he said, I just got known for one thing.
Yeah.
And I just banged that drum and
Yeah.
I'm still banging it. And that becomes like, you become that guy.
What was he known for?
Growth marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he came to Bristol to do a talk. That's when I was asking him. He's massive on LinkedIn. Mark Thomas. He's very funny.
I think you put him in his direction.
He's great.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He'd be good.
Yeah.
Good guy to speak to. It would be to like work out what your thing is.
Yeah.
Because the next thing is you don't want to just be talking about one channel one day, email one day, SEO the next.
Yes.
'Cause where are you? And are you really good at both of them?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You want to be like yourself, the video podcasting guy, LinkedIn guy.
Yeah.
Pick a lane and just go for it.
Be good at it.
Be good, yeah. Try to enjoy it. That's really hard. It's a bit of an emotional roller coaster, standing up in front of people and posting regularly.
Yeah.
Don't fixate on the numbers. We've definitely found, my business partner Mark and I are fairly active. There's very little correlation between like the amount of engagement we get and like how many inbounds we're getting from LinkedIn at that time. I tend to post kind of silly, funny stuff that often like blows up and goes like a little bit viral. They don't really do anything in terms of our website traffic.
Vanity metrics.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Still feels good. But
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's the scratch the itch.
Yeah. Whereas Mark is much better. He's just very disciplined. He's just always like pure knowledge.
Yes.
And he doesn't really look at the engagement, but he's like, look, if I know this stuff and I know it works and that's what matters.
Value.
And that is the stuff that we actually get the
Value.
inbounds off.
I think, like, as you said, so our business, LRB, we create video podcasts in B2B. And a big thing of what we're kind of moving into now is, yes, there's people within the business, these huge entities, right? These huge technology companies that have started making podcasts, right?
Yeah.
But, and they're getting their guests on and they're specialists within their field in the business. But we're also teaching them how to harness this and build their brand with it and show them that, hey, listen, yes, this is your company's podcast, but why not leverage it as well and build your brand a little bit more, like increase employability and, generate and show yourself as that specialist in that field on LinkedIn. Use the clips that you get given.
Yeah.
Position yourself as the person who knows that field in your industry.
Why wouldn't you do that?
You're going to be so valuable.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you want to leave that company, but you've generated that brand for yourself online.
Yeah.
Quite easally.
Also, they're paying
by having
for
a chat.
Like your company's paying for it. We both run businesses. So like any content that we create, I suppose it's the same for you. We have to pay for. Whereas if your company is saying that we're going to create all the content, we're going to pay for it, you just need to star in it. You got to do that. Yeah. Because it's just free exposure. I think, I'm not sure if it's a good thing, but I think like having an audience of some description is probably one of the biggest forms of like leverage you can have now, especially if you're just an individual without massive access to capital. Yeah. If you have the means to go out and raise loads of money, or you just have loads of money, then you maybe can just operate in the shadows. Yeah. But for those people who don't, audience. Do you know what I mean? It's the next best thing. Yeah. That is a currency almost in itself. It is a currency. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize it's a currency that you can earn for free. Yeah. Very true. Which is mad when you think about it. So as we kind of come to the end almost, the future of LinkedIn. Oh, yeah. Where are you seeing it? We're talking about video, right? It's all, listen, we're video first, but we're not seeing that too much yet. Is there anything else in terms of the future of LinkedIn, like that maybe marketers should be paying attention to in the next 12 months? I think so.
Good.
I think the first, I'm just kind of sorting through them in my head. I think the first thing to say that is LinkedIn's in a very strong position. I would say that. I'm biased. We often hear when we're interviewing people to come and work for us, like, what happens if LinkedIn declines? And I say like a couple of things. Firstly, I'm going to know that before anyone else does.
Yeah.
True. The second, it has no competitors.
No.
So while people dunk on LinkedIn, and admittedly, LinkedIn can be cringe and weird, it's the only show in town. It's the world's biggest professional social network. I can't name a single LinkedIn competitor. They are out there. They're just ridiculous and they have no users. So LinkedIn's going to be around for a while, right? Yeah. There's no one that's biting its heels. In terms of where it's going, they're talking a lot about video and they're still talking a lot about video. You'd imagine at some point they would stop compressing video so much and make it so it looks a bit nicer, but honestly, who knows? I think the main thing, there is a shift towards just like better and better content.
Yeah.
A few years ago, the only people really creating content on there regularly were like content people, mostly. Maybe that's specific to marketing, right? But there was a lot of people like me who were copywriters and content creators, and they kind of created the content that all the other marketers looked at and read. Now there is a massive broadening out happening. A lot of people are now able to create content that couldn't 2 years ago with the help of AI. That sounds like, people might think that's a bad thing. That's a good thing because you're actually getting more expertise. Because like people don't, you want to hear content from people who aren't content creators.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're like massive domain experts in this, like this very special thing that other people usually aren't creating content about. So I think the quality of content is getting higher. And if I was, asking myself that question of like, how can you best position yourself to be ahead of that? It's invest in the quality of the content, invest in the strategy, do stuff like we're doing now, have a very clear narrative because it's noisier than ever. And when like an information space is very noisy, you need to have a simple, clear narrative that sticks. Whereas before, I mean, ironically, I got way more engagement like 3 or 4 years ago than I do now.
Yeah.
Because the space was kind of quiet. If you just knew how to be a bit funny and write good copy, you could kind of blow up quite easily. Whereas now it's harder and everyone's having to raise their game. So that's where I'd start. Yeah.
Be very good at your thing.
Absolutely.
It's kind of my main takeaway from this.
Yeah. See it as well. See it as an exercise in thought leadership and you as a thought leader rather than an exercise in content marketing. Because the risk, a lot of brands still do this where they'll be like, we're going to start creating content for LinkedIn. And what they mean by that is they're going to post links to whatever blog they just wrote.
Yeah.
It's a total waste of time. Like organic traffic from LinkedIn is so low because obviously it wants to keep people on the channel. So like create for the newsfeed.
Yeah.
Like don't like send people from LinkedIn to your website, take the link insights from your website and make them relevant to LinkedIn, carousels, video, and work out what your story is.
Perfect. There we go. 30-second elevator pitch for Winbox. You've
LinkedIn.
Got it.
That's it. LinkedIn.
That's what you do. We'll make it work. You'll make it work for people.
Look, we do LinkedIn ads, LinkedIn content. We do it for over 50 B2B companies. We're really good at it. Case studies on our website, stats on our website, testimonials on our website. We'll say everything you need to know about that. And as I said, I just think it's a really powerful channel, more powerful right now than ever. I don't think it's optional anymore. Your customers are on there. Your competitors are on there. You need to be on there.
100%. George, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming
having
on.
me.
Cheers.
Nice one.